My name is Rachel Whitman. I'm 35, and I never expected to wake up from surgery to find my daughter's hair chopped off by my own sister. If you've ever felt overlooked or betrayed by your own family, leave a comment and tell me where you're watching from. Like this video and subscribe for more stories like this. I'd gone in for what was supposed to be a simple laparoscopic procedure. I left my daughter Ivy with my sister Mallory because my parents said she'd help. They always said Mallory was the helpful one, the one with a natural gift for children, the one who could handle things in a crisis. Ivy is only 7. She's imaginative, spirited, and yes, sometimes a little stubborn. But she's never been cruel, never unkind. And she loved her long hair, cascading curls she called princess waves. When I woke up groggy in the recovery room, Mallory was already there, sipping coffee like she hadn't just violated something sacred. "She's fine," she said flatly, but I had to do something. She needed discipline. I blinked, still dazed. "What do you mean?" She wouldn't stop talking back, told me I wasn't her mom, so I took care of it. It took a moment to register. And then I saw Ivy, standing in the doorway, silent, pale, her curls gone. Her head unevenly chopped like someone had gone at it with kitchen scissors in a fit of rage. Mallory had cut her hair, all of it, without my consent. No warning, no phone call, just gone. Ivy wouldn't meet my eyes, and all Mallory could say was, she needed discipline. The nurses wheeled me to discharge, but the real pain hadn't even started yet. In the car, Ivy clung to her stuffed elephant like it was armor. "Did I do something bad?" she whispered. "No, baby," I told her. "You did nothing wrong." I kept my voice calm for her sake. But inside, something broke. I texted my mom from the driveway. "I need to talk to you and Dad." She replied, "We're busy right now." Mallory did what she had to. No apology. No question about how I was doing after surgery. Just a quick defense of her golden child. Growing up, I was always the one who made drama. When I cried after Mallory threw out my birthday cake, Mom said, "She's younger, don't be petty." When I didn't make honor roll and Mallory did, Dad said, "Well, she works harder." When I won a writing contest and Mallory didn't, no one showed up to the award ceremony. This wasn't new, but it was the first time they touched Ivy, and that changed everything. I tried to breathe through the rage, but it was like acid in my chest. That night, I sat beside Ivy as she fell asleep and ran my hand over her shorn head. "She said I was wild," Ivy mumbled. "She said you let me be bad." I closed my eyes. "You are not bad." She said I'd thank her one day. I kissed her forehead. "She's wrong." The next morning, I got a group text from Mom. "Let's not make a scene. Mallory meant well. You should be grateful she helped while you were recovering." Most sisters wouldn't step up. Grateful? Grateful? That word stuck like a splinter in my mind. I'd arranged everything. Ivy's meals, her homework, her medicine. Mallory just had to babysit for 6 hours. But somehow, I was supposed to be grateful. I didn't respond. Instead, I opened my laptop, and I pulled up every saved email, every childhood photo, every digital journal I'd written over the years, every piece of evidence that Mallory had always been the one they bent over backwards for. And I started writing something I never thought I'd need. A personal timeline. Because if I was going to walk into this fire again, I needed to know where it started. And why it had to end. Now. I was 10 when I first noticed. Mallory never got grounded. She could smash a vase and Mom would say, "She's just expressing herself." I got detention once for forgetting homework and was banned from TV for 2 weeks. They told me, "We expect more from you." It didn't stop in childhood. At 12, I saved for a month to buy Mom a birthday gift, a little necklace with her birthstone. Mallory forgot completely. Guess whose drawing went on the fridge? My whole life, I heard the same script. She's sensitive. She didn't mean it. She just needs a little more attention. What I needed didn't matter. I used to think if I worked harder, they'd see me. So I did. I graduated early, got a scholarship. Even when Ivy was born, I made sure to handle it all myself. No child support. No handouts. And still, I couldn't shake the feeling I had to earn my place in a family that was never really mine. When Ivy was 3, Mallory dropped by unannounced. She brought glitter slime and candy Ivy was allergic to. I told her we couldn't use it, that Ivy had a reaction last time. Mallory rolled her eyes. You're too soft on her. No wonder she acts up. I laughed it off then. But now I see the pattern. My parents enabled it. They always did. When I told them Mallory made fun of Ivy's drawings, they said, she's just being honest. When Mallory forgot Ivy's birthday, again, they said, she's busy with her startup. When Mallory yelled at Ivy in front of the whole family because she spilled juice, they said, you can't shelter her from the world. I started to believe maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was too sensitive, too emotional. Maybe Mallory's harshness was love in a language I didn't understand. Then came Ivy's 5th birthday. She asked for a butterfly cake. I spent the whole night baking, frosting, and decorating. Mallory showed up with a store-bought unicorn cake, 5 candles already stuck in. Ivy got confused, picked hers instead of mine. Everyone clapped. Mallory winked at me like it was a joke. Later, Mom said, don't make a scene, it's just cake. But it wasn't just cake. It was another moment Ivy was pulled away from me, handed to someone who never even tried to understand her. Ivy's curls were the one thing she guarded. She refused to let anyone else brush them but me. She called them our waves because mine were the same when I was her age. She once said, when I grow up, I'll wear them like armor, like you do. Mallory knew that, and still, she took them. In the weeks after the surgery, I watched Ivy grow quieter. She used to sing to herself while drawing. Now she stared at blank paper. She used to twirl her hair when she was nervous. Now her fingers hovered near her ears, like she couldn't remember the habit. One night, I found a clump of cut curls stuffed inside her pillowcase. She'd saved them, like a secret she didn't want to let go of, or maybe proof that it wasn't all a dream, that something sacred really was taken from her. That broke me, more than the betrayal, more than Mallory's smug excuses or my mother's cold texts. It was the quiet grief of a child who thought she'd done something wrong and didn't know how to fix it. I wanted to protect her, not just from Mallory, from all of it, the gaslighting, the manipulation, the erasure. I didn't want Ivy to grow up thinking pain was normal, that being put in her place was love. So I went back to therapy. I started documenting everything, Mallory's actions, my parents' dismissals, and the cracks Ivy didn't yet have words for. Because if no one else was going to remember the truth, I would. And if no one else was going to fight for Ivy's peace, I had to. I didn't want a war. I wanted an apology, a moment of clarity, some sliver of remorse. So I invited them over, my parents and Mallory. I said it was for Ivy's sake, but truthfully, it was for mine. They arrived like it was Sunday brunch. Mallory wore sunglasses indoors. Mom brought muffins. Dad asked if I was still sore from surgery. Not one of them looked at Ivy. She sat on the couch, small and watchful, holding her elephant with white-knuckled fingers. I want to talk about what happened, I said. Mallory snorted. You're still on that? She cut my daughter's hair, I said, trying to stay calm. Without permission. Without even asking. She was out of control, Mallory shot back. She needed structure. She needed love, I said. Mom sighed. Rachel, you've always made things bigger than they are. That sentence. It hit like a slap. Dad added. She helped you. Maybe not how you wanted, but she stepped up. By violating Ivy's autonomy? I asked. She's 7, Mallory snapped. She doesn't have autonomy. Ivy flinched. That was it. I stood. Get out. What? Mom blinked like I'd grown another head. Out, I said, my voice even. You don't get to be here and hurt her. Or me. You're overreacting, Mallory muttered, rising. I have everything documented, I said quietly. Every time you crossed a line. Every dismissal, every manipulation. If you push me, I will make it public. Mallory's jaw locked. Mom's face turned red. But they left. not because they respected me, because for once I had power. That night, Ivy crawled into bed beside me. "Will they come back?" she asked. I hesitated. "Do you want them to?" She was quiet for a long time. "Only if they say sorry." I wrapped my arm around her. "Me too." A week later, my mom texted, "You're tearing this family apart over hair." I didn't reply. Another came the next day. This is what happens when you raise a child to be soft. Then, silence. Mallory posted a photo on Instagram. Her smiling with her nieces, my cousin's kids. Captioned, "Discipline is love. Weak moms raise weak daughters." I stared at the screen for 10 whole minutes. She never tagged me. But she didn't have to. That was the final thread. Whatever piece of me still hoped they'd change, it snapped. Not in anger, in peace. Because now I knew they weren't going to apologize. They weren't capable of it. So I got to work. I researched schools, found a trauma-informed program Ivy could transfer into, reached out to a lawyer, just in case Mallory tried anything again. And I started something I'd always wanted to do, a blog for single moms raising strong-willed daughters. I called it The Other Sister. It grew faster than I expected. Moms messaged me with their own stories of being erased, blamed, ignored. They shared photos, letters, drawings their kids had made. We cried together, healed together. One day, I opened an email with the subject line, "I think I know your pain." It was from a girl who said Mallory had taught at her after-school program. "She yelled a lot," the girl wrote. "She cut my braids once because she said they were too wild." I forwarded it to the board of directors. And I waited. 2 weeks later, Mallory's name was quietly removed from the staff list. No announcement, no drama, just gone. And I never said a word. I didn't celebrate when Mallory lost her after-school job. I didn't post about it, didn't gloat. I simply noted it in my journal. Next to the date, Ivy smiled again while brushing her regrowing hair. The two things felt connected, not because of revenge, because of healing. The blog kept growing. It turned into something bigger than I expected. A newsletter, a podcast, a community. We weren't just venting anymore. We were finding each other, the overlooked daughters, the second-borns, the ones who always had to be the strong one. Ivy drew a picture one day, us standing side by side. Her hair shoulder-length again, with a little crown on top. Above it, she wrote in crayon, "Armor, just like Mama." I knew then that the damage hadn't defined her. She was healing too. And she was watching me. That's when I stopped answering my parents' messages. They came less frequently now, shorter, colder. "You used to be better than this. Mallory's had a hard year. We hope Ivy gets over this phase." At some point, I stopped needing their approval. I stopped hoping for recognition, explanation, or fairness, because I'd built something without them, a life rooted in truth, not illusion. And for the first time in my entire existence, I felt like I was enough. I sent one final message to the family group chat. "From now on, any contact must go through my lawyer. Do not reach out directly to me or Ivy again. Any violation will be documented. We are no longer available for your version of love." Then I blocked them. Ivy asked me that night, "Are they mad?" I said, "Maybe, but we're safe now." She nodded. "Good." Then she pulled out a box. Inside were pieces of her curls she had saved, taped onto a page like a scrapbook. She had written at the bottom, "This is how I know I survived." The next month, I was invited to speak at a summit for single parents. My topic was discipline versus dignity. I told Ivy I was nervous. She handed me her elephant. "Take him," she said. "He's brave." I laughed through tears. I took the elephant with me. At the event, I met women who had lost custody because they didn't fit the mold. Mothers who were accused of being too lenient, too emotional, too soft. Every one of them wore invisible scars from families who said love meant control. I told them Ivy's story, not the revenge, the truth, and it changed the room. Afterwards, a woman approached me. "I know your sister," she said quietly. "She was my cousin's roommate in college. You're not the first person she tried to discipline." I didn't need to hear more, but it confirmed something I already suspected. This wasn't just about me. It never was. Mallory had built a lifetime of control masked as order, and for the first time, someone had said, "No, I didn't destroy her." She unraveled when I stopped playing my role. I returned home to find Ivy on the porch, with our neighbor's dog curled at her feet. Her hair caught the golden hour light like a halo. "Did they clap for you?" she asked. I knelt beside her. "They listened." "Even better," she smiled. That night I tucked her in with the elephant she'd let me borrow, and I whispered, "You don't ever have to let anyone change who you are to feel safe." She whispered back, "I know. You taught me." I didn't think they'd stay quiet, but for a while, they did. Then came the letter. A white envelope in my mailbox with my maiden name scrawled in my mother's cursive. No return address, just one page inside. No apology, no ownership. Just this. Families go through things. It's cruel to hold a grudge forever. You're raising Ivy to be fragile, and that will ruin her. I folded it once, then again, slipped it into the drawer where I kept Ivy's hair scrapbook. The contrast was jarring. One page held cruelty disguised as tradition. The other held proof of survival. Ivy asked, "Was that from them?" "Yes." "Are you going to write back?" I shook my head. "I don't think they'd listen." She nodded. "You don't have to fix everything." I hugged her. "No, sweetheart, I don't." It was a sentence I hadn't believed most of my life. That my job wasn't to fix everyone else's brokenness, just to keep the peace. That being the strong one didn't mean being the silent one. That being a good daughter didn't require letting yourself be small. I started taking weekends off from the blog, took Ivy to the beach, let her dig holes in the sand and scream into the wind. We painted waves in every color but blue. She said, "Real oceans have moods." She was right. Her hair was shoulder length now. She'd grown into her voice again. During a play date, she told her friend, "I used to think being loud was bad. But Mama said, quiet doesn't mean weak, and loud doesn't mean rude. It just means we're not hiding." I had to step out of the room and cry. I began journaling again, just for me. Letters I never sent. To Mallory, to Mom, to Dad. I wrote what I wish they'd said. I wrote what I would have needed to hear when I was 7. Then I tore them up and threw them away, not in anger, in release. Ivy had nightmares for a while. She'd wake up crying, saying her voice was stuck. But each time, she found it a little faster. One morning she said, "I dreamed I had wings," and Aunt Mallory tried to cut them. But I flew anyway. I didn't need to say a word. She knew. We planted a tree in the backyard that spring. Ivy chose it. A weeping cherry. She said the name was funny because it doesn't look sad at all. She tied one of her saved curls to a branch, said it was returning home. I let her. Some rituals don't need explanation. That same week, I got an invitation. My cousin's baby shower, hosted by Mallory, in big, bold letters. "No drama, please." There was no direct mention of me, but it was clear. I was the drama. I declined. Not with silence, not with fire. I sent a single text. "Thank you. Ivy and I are building peace this year. Hope the shower reflects that too." Then I muted the thread. No one responded. And that silence felt different. Not like erasure. Like freedom. By summer, Ivy had stopped asking about them. The silence in our lives wasn't hollow anymore. It was healing. She'd started reading chapter books on her own. She liked the stories where the quiet girl turned out to be the heroine all along. I took a photo of her one afternoon. Sitting on the porch, bare feet tucked under her, hair brushed gently behind her ears. There was sunlight on her shoulders, and something unspoken in her eyes. A kind of peace I didn't have at her age. I posted the photo on the blog, captioned it. They tried to break her spirit, but she inherited mine. It became the most shared post I'd ever written. People sent messages. One woman wrote, "My sister cut my daughter's braids off in front of our church. I thought I was the only one." Another said, "Your story reminded me I'm not crazy for protecting my child from my own family." We weren't alone. We had just been made to feel that way. One day, a package arrived. No sender. Inside was a baby blanket, hand-stitched, the kind my mother used to make when a new grandchild was born. Tucked inside was a note on ivory paper. "If you ever decide to let Ivy see us again, we'll be waiting." I didn't tell Ivy. I didn't need to. Some doors don't need to be slammed shut. They just need to stay unopened. I mailed the blanket to a shelter that helped young mothers. Let it hold warmth for someone who needed it, not someone trying to barter with guilt. That weekend, I gave a talk at the local library. Ivy introduced me. She stood at the microphone in her favorite sunflower dress and said, "My mom teaches people how to use their voice. She taught me too." I nearly lost it right there. I told the audience, "When you draw boundaries, people will call it cruelty. When you say no, they'll say you're punishing them. Let them say it. Because your peace is not a punishment. It's a choice." Someone stood up to clap. Then another. Then the whole room. Afterward, a man approached me. Older, quiet. He said I was Mallory in my family. I pushed too hard, thought I knew best. I lost my sister over it. I nodded. He said if I could do it over, I'd ask her how she needed to be loved, not how I needed her to behave. That stayed with me. Ivy was waiting outside with 2 paper cups of lemonade. We walked home hand in hand. "I like when you talk," she said. "You sound like yourself." I smiled. "You help me remember who that is." We passed the weeping cherry tree, its branches now full, hanging like lace over the yard. Ivy twirled beneath it, laughed, then paused. "Do you think Aunt Mallory still thinks she helped me?" I looked at her. "I think Mallory still believes discipline means control." "And you?" "I think real discipline is loving someone without needing to break them." That night, Ivy asked to cut her hair. Not short, just a trim. She stood tall in front of the mirror and said, "This time, I choose." I handed her the scissors, held the comb, and watched her reclaim what was hers. Ivy's new trim sat just below her shoulders. She smiled at her reflection, then looked at me. "Do I look brave?" "You look like yourself," I said. And for the first time, that was enough for both of us. I didn't send out announcements, didn't issue warnings. But one by one, extended family started to notice the shift. They stopped asking about reuniting, stopped tagging me in throwbacks of better times because I no longer responded to nostalgia dressed as guilt. I no longer gave them my silence to fill with their stories. The blog officially rebranded that fall. From the other sister to the first voice. It wasn't just about me anymore. We had contributors, women reclaiming motherhood, autonomy, and respect. Some had left religious households. Some had survived narcissistic parenting. Some just needed permission to say no more, and we gave it to each other. One day, Ivy came home from school with an art project, a tree made of handprints, each finger painted in a different shade. At the top, she'd written in black marker, "Family means who grows you." She didn't mention Mallory or my parents. She didn't have to. Months passed. Then one morning, an email slipped into my inbox from my father. I didn't know. I should have stopped her. "I don't know if this matters now, but I'm sorry." I sat with it for a long time, not because I didn't believe it, but because I wasn't sure I needed it anymore. I never replied, but I archived it. Proof that truth eventually touches even those who run from it. Ivy started therapy that winter, not because she was broken, but because I wanted her to have more tools than I did. She told her therapist, "Sometimes I'm scared people will try to change me again." Then she added, "But my mom taught me what it feels like to be loved right." The house felt warmer these days. We cooked more, laughed louder. Ivy started braiding my hair at night. called it our armor ritual. One night she asked, "If I have a daughter, can I name her Rachel?" I smiled through tears. "Only if she's fierce." "She will be," she said, "because I'll teach her." I looked at the girl beside me, half my heart, half my fire, and realized we had done it. Not just survived, transformed, and without spectacle, without cruelty, with quiet defiance and relentless love. I posted one last entry that year. A sister cut my daughter's hair to teach her a lesson. What she didn't know was that we would learn our own instead. That survival is not rebellion. And softness is not surrender. We grew back stronger. Have you ever had to walk away from people you once called family? Drop your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories about reclaiming your power. Send this to someone who needs to know they're not alone.